crew members of the same team or something like that, that's when you pull the driver aside and say, he does that again, and you're suspended. And I think that is when you could see, if the driver knows that it could cost him a championship, then or something, that could be when the driver says, all right, guys, you have been in multiple incidents, you're not coming to the track, or this and that. I do think, to a degree, you have to hold the driver responsible. Does it seem fair? Maybe not, but life's not fair. And the driver is the quarterback of this team, right?
Oh,
Your
wow.
race team. The race team, the driver is the quarterback of your team.
Oh, wow. I'm in laughter of the way you just said that. Yeah, the expression of your voice of, well, is it not fair? Well, life's not fair. Get over it. So, but I mean, that's the truth. Sometimes we have to eat crow and we have to apologize, or we have to take punishment for things in life that's not of our doing, but we have to do it because it's the right thing to do, or you're trying to make peace, or you're trying to prevent something from becoming inevitably more worse than what it could become, than what it is.
I mean, there are times in, journalism where, and I've had to say this to drivers here before. Yeah, sometimes it's not fair. I've had to keep my mouth shut and not print this. I have a bombshell of a story about, without going into too much elaboration, an elected member possibly sabotaging a plan to bring tens of thousands of jobs to a district and to his district, and it's unfair. I can't publish it. There's a security concern that could come with publishing this, so I can't do that, And that's what you've got to get. That's what a lot of these drivers have to understand. Sometimes things are going to happen that aren't fair. You want to go respond to this, and you can't. You've got to hold it back. And we're all adults in this sport. I mean, you've got to. And these drivers have, and crew members have enough restraint. They are capable of restraining themselves, because as they see that it's if they see that it's a 14-year-old kid who's wrecked their driver, they don't go down there and fight that kid. They know better.
Yeah, prime example.
Because they know that's the one-way ticket to the big house. They don't go and wail on Annabeth Farms.
You were at Martinsville. I've had Bubba Pollard on my show before. Matter of fact, he ran the dirt race at Fast Track over the weekend at Tacoma Raceway. I saw him then. You were at Martinsville when that incident happened with Lane Riggs and Bubba Pollard. Do you think on that Saturday night, full moon, when all that mess happened, that Bubba Pollard's intent was to go over there and start problems with that young kid, Lane Riggs?
Bubba Pollard was not going to go down there and fight. Now, I almost wish that the security and all of them would have let them talk, because, I've been around asphalt racing long enough to know. You've been around asphalt racing long enough to know.
Right.
Bubba Pollard is not going down there to fight Lane Riggs. He's going down there to talk it out, and he might be a little vocal about it, but they're going to talk. Bubba Pollard's not going to go. He's not the type who's going to go wailing on Lane Riggs. And there's enough, there are instances where track crews know that that's going to be, like Peyton Sellers, if he's out of his car and he's going to go confront someone, he's not going to go fight someone.
Or Timothy Peters. I've never seen Timothy Peters show any signs of being violent. No, exactly.
And even Lee Pulliam and Philip Morris, for that matter, as drivers, those aren't guys who are going to go down there and they're not going to fight about it. I mean, you have an idea who will and who won't, and then you have some people you don't know what they're going to do, like a Forrest Reynolds, that corner worker who didn't stop Forrest when he ran out on the track. He didn't know what Forrest was going to do. And these track workers are told all the time at every track, you can't go put your hands on these guys, because you don't know what kind of lawsuits are going to happen after that, which Kathy Rice said on Race 22 radio last week. You don't know what lawsuits are coming. You can't put your hands on the guy. That has to be something that either security or a lot of tracks, our track and Hickory, have the police do.
Wait a minute. So the sad cliche of you have official on your shirt doesn't mean a damn thing anymore. Is that what you're saying? Because obviously, back in the day, you put your hand on an official, that's like a law officer in the racetrack world, basically. I remember you put your hand on an official, you're going to get in trouble. Now it's like,
you put your hands on an official, you get in trouble.
Right, but if an official tries to restrain, but what I'm saying though is that if an official tries to restrain a driver that is in a bad mood or wants to fight somebody or wants to snap, you have to be careful because you might possibly be grounds for a lawsuit. That's bullshit.
But I think you do almost every time. The official can calm the driver down before he does something stupid. Almost every time. You'll see that. The official will put his hands out and, and most of the time it's heat of the moment. The drivers want to vent. The official will say to the driver, okay, I know you're mad. Just settle down. Take 5 minutes. Just go back to your trailer. Take 5 minutes and relax. And they might be escorted by security to their trailer or something. Take 5 minutes and think about it. And 99 times out of 100, that's what happens. Is that that driver will go ahead and head on back to their trailer and calm down, and then maybe they're going to yell about it after the race. But
we could talk about this until it's over and blue in the face. We're going to have another 3 hours of this subject itself. But I want to go back to what I had you call in for to talk about Orange County. Andy, I had to park a half mile to park my car to go behind the pits to come in for the races. The place was packed, standing room only, great crowd, shades of the old Pro Cup days or the NASCAR Busch Series races back in the early 90s, late 90s.
Hotels sold out all over the area.
Hotels sold out.
I know about that too.
Hotels sold out, businesses. Yeah, because you stayed in the Hotel Corolla.
Yeah, which for our listeners, that's me sleeping in the back of the car. I mean, and so it was a fun time there, and it was great to see it's great to see this type of success. And, Orange County, a huge crowd, great showing, great car count. Dominion Raceway, that's where I was Saturday. That place was a full house. I mean, someone needed to call John Stamos to let him know we got full house here. It was great all weekend long to see. In Carteret County a couple weeks ago, packed house. South Boston, just Southern National, just about every race I've gone to this year has had great crowds. I've even seen great crowds at Legends races in Florida.
What about the street stock race at Dillon? What a great turnout that was in January. I mean, it's
absolutely.
So the old cliche where people are saying that the short track racing is dying, whether it's dirt or asphalt, I think is ridiculous.
Short track racing's alive and well, and I think, and I don't want to beat up on NASCAR too much. I also think there's a degree of people who are race fans who are turned off by the current state of NASCAR racing. And I think you got more of those guys giving, wanting to see racing and giving their local tracks a chance instead of watching, a NASCAR race. And it also helps that most of the NASCAR races are finally back on Sunday afternoon. 10 years ago, the whole thing was half the schedule was on Saturday nights. So if you're a short track fan, a racing fan, you had to pick between staying home and watching the NASCAR race for free on Fox or ABC.
Oh, yeah, there was a time where a lot of local racetracks, a lot of grassroots tracks that I grew up at were mad with NASCAR because, you want us to be NASCAR weekly sanctioned. You want us to be, weekly racing series or Will and All-American Series sanctioned, but yet you're going to run the Cup Series against us on Saturday night. Well, that's going to hurt our fan attendance because some fans... And the prime example is like, for instance, Richmond this weekend. NASCAR's at Richmond. Orange County, South Boston, Southern National, Langley, Southside. All these NASCAR weekly sanctioned tracks back in the day were kind of put in a box of even Southampton Motor Speedway. I'll even throw that name out there. I know it's closed down, but I mean, even that was in the category of... You're racing, but you're racing on top of NASCAR racing at night as well. So you're kind of stuck between, do I do it or not do it?
Absolutely. So So with this too, what I want to take a minute to praise NASCAR as well. I'm noticing more. I mean, you got Steve O'Donnell, who's one of the higher ups at NASCAR, and he's a huge short track guy. And they are doing a whole lot more on the short track level. Fox every week I've seen Fox talking about, they had a segment on Bubba Pollard at Atlanta. They're doing segments about short track racing in all of their Cup Series broadcasts, whether it's Fox or FS1. NBC does a lot. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is on NBC, and he's one of the biggest supporters of short track racing there is.
Right.
And NASCAR is doing a lot more. They're moving these races to Sunday afternoons where they belong, in my opinion. We're not seeing half the summer schedule being run at night, and NASCAR seems to be they seem to get it now. They seem to get that this is what the fans want, and they're not trying to compete against their local tracks and stuff like that. So I think we're seeing next year the Richmond Spring Race is a Sunday afternoon race. They've got Martinsville's going to be a night race, which is going to be so cool. But they've already announced it. They've put the schedule out months in advance, not in September or October.
Definitely.
And I think NASCAR's getting it on that approach. They want to go to Iowa. They want to go to Rockingham. They want to go to Nashville. So I think on this, when we talk about the health of short track racing, NASCAR's helping it in that. They're actively doing more to promote it. If you go on NASCAR.com after Ty Gibbs won at Myrtle Beach, they ran that story with him winning, and NBC and Fox and all these outlets did. So we're seeing a whole lot more promotion of grassroots racing from NASCAR, and the K&N series all being broadcast live. The K&N and Mods are all live on Fans Choice and Taste Delayed on NBC. So we're seeing a whole lot more promotion of the grassroots racing from NASCAR, and that is, I've wanted to see that for years, and I've got to take a minute and praise NASCAR for that.
Got to get your thoughts on one more thing before we get out of here. Hannah Newhouse on a broadcast called Tyler Hurst a douchebag as a broadcaster. Was that an accident? Do you think it's wrong, or was it unprofessional and she should have some type of ramifications from it?
I get that Hannah was frustrated. I like Hannah Newhouse a lot, and I know she was frustrated. And you get frustrated when a driver gets kind of mouthy with you. But I think Hannah's been in this long enough. She's been in the car herself.
That's what I was going to say. Like she's a former race car driver. She sucked at it. But, I mean,
Wow.
I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest with you. She wasn't. These are the things, Andy, that kind of piss me off as a broadcaster. Because my thing is this. I'm not the type of person that says, okay, you know what, guys, fade my music out for a minute. Because you didn't got me on the soapbox here. I shouldn't even ask that damn question. But here's my take on this, though, Andy. Okay, I'm not that good of an announcer. So then I'm going to jump in the car and I'm going to be a race car driver. So I think I claim to be a race car driver. Well, the sad reality is you've got some of these guys that are race car drivers, or females, males, whatever, that they don't do good in the race cars, but then they say, well, I'm going to jump in the broadcast booth. Well, then that takes away the ability or the opportunities for people that actually know the sport, knowledgeable of the sport, and would probably do a better job broadcasting the sport. Andy Marquise.
But and you mentioned that, and to be fair, though, I think that, you go back to the early 2000s, and my favorite driver analyst for NASCAR broadcast was Wally Dallenbach. Was he the best in a Cup car when he ran it? Absolutely not, but he was a great broadcaster.
I liked Wally. I did. I thought Wally Dallenbach was good. There's only, now again, I'm not trying to say that it's everybody. Okay, I
think Hannah Newhouse acted very unprofessionally. Very, very unprofessional. I think that. You know what?
Let me tell you something. Hang on a minute. If I, in my caliber status, if I would have called somebody a douchebag at Bristol on the broadcast, I'd have probably got fired right there on the damn spot. I'm telling you. I would have been jumped on. They would have said, Wesley, it's wrong what you've done. Your hard card's being stripped. Your services are no longer needed. Hit the road.
Well, we had this at Martinsville last year, right? We had this at Martinsville with I like Cassie.